If you could go back, truly go back, where would you land? For me, the answer always comes with the faint, imagined sound of a cassette tape clicking into a player. It's the 1980s. I know. The shoulder pads were unforgivable. The hair was a chemical hazard. And the politics were, to put it mildly, complicated. The world today, as I write this on October 26, 2025, is a marvel of efficiency and speed. My phone buzzes with news from across the globe. A QR code on my refrigerator promises instant grocery replenishment, and my calendar is a relentless grid of digital reminders. It is a world built for doing more, faster, and yet I find myself longing for less. The present day operates on a frequency of constant, low-grade urgency. It's the hum of the server farm, the ping of the instant message, the silent pressure of 100 open tabs in the browser of your mind. We are connected, yes, but we are also tethered. Our hands, once free to gesture, to hold, to feel the grain of a wooden table, are now perpetually cupped around the smooth, cold surface of a smartphone. A tired hand, scanning a code, is the perfect metaphor for our times, an act of consumption disguised as an act of convenience. The longing for the 1980s isn't just about nostalgia for a specific aesthetic. It's a deep, cellular yearning for a time when the world didn't demand our immediate and undivided attention every second of the day. I remember a time when boredom was not a crisis to be solved by endless scrolling, but a quiet space for contemplation. It was in those unscripted moments. There was a time when a neighborhood was more than just a collection of houses or a pin on a digital map. It was a living, breathing ecosystem of human relationships. I remember a photograph my mother kept from a street party in the early 1980s. The colors are faded now, but the energy is still palpable. Neighbors are gathered around picnic tables, their clothes a riot of bright, optimistic colors. They are talking, laughing, actually looking at one another. There is a sense of shared space, of communal life being lived out in the open, on the concrete sidewalks and manicured lawns that connected their homes. It was a world where you knew the names of the people who lived next door, and maybe even the names of their pets. Today, the suburban street is often a quiet, sterile corridor. People move from their climate-controlled homes to their climate-controlled cars, their journeys scored by the private soundtrack playing through their earbuds. The mail carrier clatters the mailbox shut, but the primary form of communication arrives silently, digitally. We have retreated into our private bubbles, our front porches now serving as little more than drop-off points for Amazon packages. Our relationship with media has undergone a profound transformation. Today, culture is an ethereal stream, flowing to us from the cloud. Music, movies, books, accessible with a tap, but lacking physical form. There is an undeniable convenience to having the entire history of recorded music available on your phone, but something has been lost in the transition from the tangible to the digital. The feeling of holding the large cardboard sleeve, admiring the artwork, and gently sliding the heavy black disc from its paper sheath was a pleasure in itself. It was a ritual. Placing a record on a turntable and carefully lowering the needle into the groove required a moment of focused attention. The same was true for a cassette tape, with its satisfying clunk as it slotted into the deck, or a VHS tape, which you had to physically rewind. You owned it. You touched it. You cared for it. In the 80s, finding new music or a new movie was an adventure. It involved browsing the aisles, flipping through album covers, taking a chance. It meant reading liner notes and trading mixtapes with friends, each one a carefully curated collection of songs that was a message in itself. Music in the 1980s had a unique power to create a shared public square. When a great song came on the radio, it wasn't just playing in your headphones, it was playing everywhere. It poured from car windows at traffic lights. It blasted from boomboxes. It served as the soundtrack for backyard barbecues and school dances. A song like Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody wasn't a private experience. It was a cultural event. When that iconic piano intro began, you knew thousands, perhaps millions, were hearing it at the same moment. It was a shared frequency connecting strangers. That collective musical consciousness is something we've largely lost. Our listening habits have become atomized. We walk down the same street, but we are each in our own sonic world, sealed off by noise-cancelling earbuds. There is no common soundtrack. Spontaneous shared moments are vanishingly rare. Even in a quiet home, music was communal. A record would be put on the stereo, filling the entire house. It was a way of sharing a piece of yourself. This is what I'm feeling. This is what moves me. Let's be honest. The technology of the 1980s was, by today's standards, laughably primitive. Computers were beige, clunky boxes, glowing green text, amber text on monolithic CRT monitors. They were slow, they had laughably small amounts of memory, and they made a truly astonishing amount of noise. The process of loading a program from a floppy disk was a symphony of mechanical whirring, grinding, and clicking. It was an exercise in patience. And yet, there was a certain charm to these imperfect machines. Using these early computers required engagement. You had to physically insert a disk, type in commands, and wait for the machine to respond. The floppy disk itself was a precious object. It held your documents, your games, your songs. These weren't just abstract files in a nebulous cloud. They were your memories in a fragile square of plastic. They demanded something from you, and in doing so, they gave you a sense of mastery when you succeeded. There was an honesty to their noise, an imperfect charm that our silent, seamless devices can never replicate. Imagine this. You're showing a friend an old computer, a relic from your past. You want to show them a file, a memory saved on a floppy disk. You slide the disk into the drive, and the familiar whir begins. But then the sound changes. It becomes a grind, a terrible scraping noise. The screen flickers. The machine protests with a series of angry beeps. You hit the keyboard, fingers flying, trying to coax it back to life. Come on, you plead. The machine gives one final horrible groan and falls silent. The screen is blank. The disk and the memory it holds might be gone forever. A raw, panicked scream is the only logical response. In a room with a friend, what comes next is often a laugh. A shared, cathartic chuckle at the absurdity, at the ridiculousness of a noisy, temperamental machine. When technology failed, you relied on each other. If all else failed, go make a cup of tea and complain about the machine together. The machines were loud, slow, and often infuriating, but they left space for us to be quiet, slow, and kind to one another. And that is a world worth going back to.